Well, howdy ho there, my peeps. This video is a little bit of an update about my diet. I shared, um, last shared with you, I guess it was 12 or 13 days ago. I did my 45-day weigh-in. Remember all of that? I was excited because I lost the amount of weight that I thought I was supposed to. Today I had an appointment with my doctor, so I haven't weighed in again since then. So today, 12 days later, I've weighed in again. The math again was perfect. I calculated all the calories that I had eaten on an average daily calorie intake, and of course, subtracted that out of what I'm supposed to eat in order to maintain my weight. And my calculations said that I should have lost about 3.5 pounds. And that is exactly what I lost. 3.5 pounds in 12 days. So, yay, yay for me. So the first thing that happened when the doctor came in is I said, Doctor, I'm so glad to see you. I said, I want you to look and find out how much weight I've lost since I saw you last, which was back in March. And so, she did. And she says, Oh my gosh. She says, You've lost 32 pounds since the middle of March. So she was so excited that she jumps up out of her chair and she, comes over and she gives me a big hug and she says, I'm just so proud of you, blah, blah, blah. And, how are you doing this? La, da, da. So I went over the food that I eat and when I eat it, and I showed her how on my little cards here, I showed her my little cards and that how I kept track of everything and would put in what my blood sugar was that morning, and if I had taken my blood pressure, I write that down as well, and she was just thrilled about that. And I showed her all my calculations. It was so cute. She had my little notebook and she's, yes. Oh yes, I see. I see what you did here. It was adorable. And then she left her own little note for me here. It was so cute. Um, so the deal with the weight loss is keep on keeping on. What you're doing is working well. And I said, but she said you need to consider losing weight more quickly. And I that was something I wanted to talk to her about because 2 pounds a week is good, steady, respectable weight loss, but it seems like it's going to take forever. And I would just as soon lose it more quickly if I could. And so she talked to me about how, conventional wisdom was that you would want to try to lose it slowly, which works if you've got, 20 or 40 or 60 pounds to lose. But when you have as much to lose as I do, she said that wisdom is exactly the reverse, that being morbidly obese and carrying around this kind of weight is far more dangerous than any side effect that might happen from losing weight too quickly. So, or losing weight quickly. Let's put it that way. So I said, all right, well, I've been eating, about 1,550 calories a day. What do you suggest? And she said, I want you to aim for 900. 800 is okay, 1,000 is okay. Try to keep it right around 900. She said it's going to be tough, but you've got the tools. Get out your little lists of foods and the caloric values and make your little menus up for what you're going to eat that day. She said instead of doing what you're doing now, which is simply eating whatever for breakfast and lunch and dinner and adding it up at the end of the day. She said, what I want you to do is I want you to plan your day so that you don't have to think about what you should eat when, and if you can afford any more calories that day after you're done. She said, I want you to be strict, if you can be, about what you eat and aim at that 900 calories. Okay, no problem. Now, the past 8 weeks that I've been doing this diet have been remarkably easy. It just hasn't been. The only thing that's been difficult is the waiting. When is my next weigh-in going to get here? How soon can I, go online and talk about progress? Blah blah blah. It hasn't really been so much the not eating things I shouldn't eat, or issues of overeating and that kind of thing. Um, yeah, I get hungry. There are plenty of days when I go over. Um, no, not plenty. There are days when I go over. There are days when I say, okay, you know what? My husband brought home some pizza. I'm going to eat some, and then I, calculate the pizza calories and all that. But she said what she hopes I can do for this next 4 weeks, because I'm going to see her in another month. She said, be vigilant about sticking to what we're devising right now. And she said, don't weigh yourself. She said, we know how much you weigh today. I want to see how much you lose in a month. So I'm down with all of that. And then I asked her, what about water? I know I don't drink enough water. I'm certain of that. And what would you suggest? She says, I can't tell you. She says, what you do is every time you pee, you look at the color. She said, when it is clear or just very faintly yellow, you know you're drinking enough water. So she said, get up in the morning and just start drinking water. Drink a glass of water every time you think about it. She said, and then pay attention and, wait for the color to lighten up. And that is what you go by. And then she said, after 4, don't drink any water. So, or I'll be up all night. So, there you go. I mean, that's where I am. It was just so nice to kind of celebrate all that with her. I did get my letter so that in case anybody on the Amtrak trains or buses is concerned about whether or not I'm an actual handicapped person, I mean, even though I'm going to be in a wheelchair, I've got that, so that's cool. As far as my next steps, I need to get my eyes checked. They do the diabetic eye checks occasionally on people who are diabetic, on metformin and all that, or insulin or whatever. I'm not on insulin, but still, she says it's part of the protocol, so go do that. And other than that, it's just full steam ahead for the next 4 weeks. She also gave me a list of books. 2 in particular she says she wants me to read. One of them, they're both by the same author, a guy named Neil Barnard, MD. I don't know if he's like an endocrinologist or something. I'm not sure. But anyhow, the book, the 2 books are Neil Barnard's Program for Reversing Diabetes, and the other book is called Breaking the Food Seduction, and that's about how to deal with cravings and what you can do about, how you can eat how you can identify what your cravings are when they happen, and then you eat in order to keep those things from happening, is the best I can figure on this book. I know I haven't read it. Anytime I see something like, book lists about this kind of thing, I kind of look at it a little askance. I'm a real skeptic when it comes to health information that you find out there everywhere. I just assume a lot of it is malarkey. But she said, and my doctor's a regular MD, incidentally, she's a family practitioner. She said that she had just come home from this symposium about nutrition and managing your patient's health issues. She said that it was real fascinating, and one of the things she learned was it was interesting. She said to me, "What do you think the most dangerous food is that a human being can eat?" I don't know. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is sugar, right? So I said, "Well, is it sugar?" She said, "No." She said, "I thought it was pork. I thought pork was just not a healthy thing to eat." Okay, I'm back. So, anyhow, she said that she thought it was pork, and no, it's not pork. And she said, "So, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, Um, is it dairy? And she said, you're on the right track. And I said, oh, okay. Does it have to do with hormones? And she said, bingo, it has to do with hormones. She said, according to this symposium, the most dangerous food is cheese. And the reason is because cows, and I'm going to assume other like goats as well, but I'm not certain, but I'm going to assume goats. Anyhow, let's say cows. They produce their own, lactating animals produce their own hormones, and those hormones, whether it's an organically fed cow that lives in perfectly clean air, or it's a cow on a factory farm that's shot up with hormones, they both have hormones that go into their milk, and then when the cheese is made, the hormones are concentrated. So cheese comes with a lot of hormones, and that over time that's apparently very, very bad for us. So she said, if you have a little cheese every once in a while, that's one thing. But Americans, particularly Westerners, we eat way, way more cheese than we're supposed to eat. So it's we've been building up all of these hormones, because hormones build up in your own fatty tissue. So she said that's what kills people. That's what causes disease processes to start. Many of them, anyway. So I thought, that's real fascinating. That was my first, first time I'd ever heard that. So obviously, I'm going to go out and do a lot of reading and research. I trust her, but still, it'll be interesting to read more about the, evil killer cheese wheel. so, um, so we worked, yeah, like I said, we worked our way through talking about food and that sort of thing. And I'm going to quit this, and then I'm going to come back and finish up this. Okay, I'm back. I'm trying to remember where I was and what I was talking to you about. Oh, okay. So anyhow, weight loss is doing fine. Everything else is doing fine as well. My blood pressure's down. My blood sugar is down. I'm I'm making progress. Yay! Incidentally, this this 2 pound a week weight loss that I've done, that I worked out mathematically, that is without any exercise. I haven't been able to exercise. I am anxiously looking forward to being able to exercise again. And by that I mean clean my own house without help, go out and work in the yard. I mean, those are the first two little baby steps you take before you are, out doing your 2 mile walk every day, or going to your circuit training, or whatever thing it is you do. So, so that's coming. I think I will probably be, unless something bad happens, I should probably be back on my feet. I'm guessing somewhere around the middle of June. I should be, walking around my house and doing stuff, putting clothes away and all that. I'm not doing any of that right now. Because it's been taking me 2 canes in order to walk, and you can't carry stuff around the house when you've got your hands, you know, when you're, tottering along on your canes. You can't carry stuff. So I'm frustrated, but that's gonna work itself out, I know. So anyhow, I'm really, really excited and curious to go ahead and do the math at 9,000 calories a day and see where I should be at the end of my 4 weeks. And then also go ahead and plan my meals. The cheese thing still kind of blows my mind. I'll eat string cheese every once in a while, or sometimes if I'm having a day where I eat more instead of less, I will often eat what I've made for Grant, and that will frequently have cheese in it, like enchiladas or quesadillas or something. And even though I don't eat nearly the volume of food that I used to, that That's a couple ounces of cheese right there. So I'm going to avoid that. I'm bulking up more on vegetables, obviously. And then I don't know how many of you guys were with me when I did the meat, the vegan meat or the meat wasn't vegan because it had eggs in it, but the meat substitute, hamburger substitute that I made. I did a video about it a while back. Well, I'm going to go ahead and watch my video and refresh my memory about the recipe. And I told her what I had done and how I made this, and she said, "That's perfect." She said, "Make some of that. That should be your go-to when you're feeling like you want something a little meaty." And that's basically lentils, brown rice, I don't know what the other thing was I had in it. And then I crumble up a couple pieces of bread, Dave's grainy bread in there, and a couple of eggs and, seasonings and so forth. And then I mush it all together and let it sit for a while. And it just takes on this real hamburgery kind of texture. And flavor. I use a little bit of liquid smoke. I really, really try to get that meaty flavor as much as I can with spices. So I had made quite a bit of that last month. You guys saw that in the video, those of you that watch it. I put a lot of it in my freezer. Done. I've worked my way through all of it. So it is time to make up another couple batches of that. So I've got it available. So there you go. I just had to share my happy news with you. Um, and then, as in closing, I just want to say that something that Grant and I are going to have to prepare for this when we get back from the family wedding. We have to prepare for the very real probability that there will be rolling blackouts in California this summer. The power company is talking about wanting to turn the power off in certain areas of the grid on days that are dry and windy so as to reduce fire hazard. They're saying that this might, the blackouts could last days or a week, and they'll be going as long as it's fire season. These blackouts will be a possibility. So it's there's nothing good about it, but in a way it's kind of good for Grant and I because it's kicked us into gear for putting up the solar panels. Grant has quite a few solar panels that he's had in storage for a long time, and we just haven't thought about it. Well, now there may be a real reason to go ahead and put them up. We have about enough wattage to run our well pump, and the way we would do that is if the power went down, we'd go out and we'd flip on the well pump, let it fill the tank, and then flip it off. When it would get down to a certain point, well, we'd do it again. So we'd also have to keep our pressure pump, connected as well. So we'd probably have a switching system where we could turn them both on or one or the other on. So I think that's how we'd probably work that. Then we need to buy some more wattage and or set up a generator out here on the concrete patio that would power the give us enough power to run our swamp cooler so that we wouldn't die of heat exhaustion, run at least one fan, regular floor fan, power a charging station for our electronics, and then keep the refrigerator and the freezers going. As far as other things are concerned, like the electric igniter on the stove, the washer and the dryer, all the lights, that sort of thing, we don't need that. We've got a gas water heater. That's cool. So so we're going to kind of prepare for that. The other thing we will be doing is keeping a fairly large stash of water, utility water, as well as drinking water. Grant says he gets his cat litter, our cat litter, in these big green jugs. They're plastic, and they're perfect for storing water for like flushing toilets, washing dishes, washing clothes, that sort of thing. So we will, we are going to prepare ourselves. And hopefully it doesn't, it isn't too bad, but you never know what it's going to be like. So we've got that to look forward to this summer. Um, and my mind is spinning in 12 different directions right now. I talked to Amtrak again today about our itinerary. I cleared up some issues about um, how to get, where I have to be when you're traveling with a wheelchair. I cleared up some issues about luggage and that sort of thing. So that's good. That's all set in stone. And I've got I need to find a van for my son. He comes home from school on Friday and then he has to go work early next week. So between Friday and Tuesday, we're going to have to find him something that he can drive back to school after the summer and then live in. So I'm looking at used like Honda Odysseys. That's the car that we like the most at this point. Because of the stowaway seats in the back, you can take one of the captain's chairs. I mean, the bucket seats out in the back, and then put out a like a twin size mattress, and there's still a little bit of room to move around in there, and maybe put in some IKEA drawers or something. I don't know what we'd hack it all out in one way or another, and then he will be able to join the population of houseless, dorm room less students. And there's a huge and growing population on all of the campuses, at least here in California, of kids who they got their financial aid, they got their grants, their scholarships, their this, their that. It's enough to go to school, but there's not enough dorm rooms. So what do? Well, you live in your car. If you can't find a room in an apartment, blah blah blah. Um, Getting a room in an apartment can be very, very hard because you have to have credit or you have to have parents who will, co-sign for you or whatever. And I don't use credit, therefore I don't have credit. I don't use credit cards. I don't have any consumer debt. I don't have a mortgage. I simply don't use credit. And if when you don't, it's one of those use it or lose it things. You got to use your credit in order to keep your credit. So I can't, co-sign for it. And so those are some of the things that are up in my life right now. So I hope all y'all are having a very lovely evening, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.